very wonderful afternoon to everyone. It's Thursday, the 14th of October, another class for FMS 304 and FMS 825. Today, we're going to focus on literature review. Today's topic is a very interesting one, and recall that before we arrive at this point that we have covered ideation, which is choosing proper topic for your research. Then we talk about abstract, and then um, we talk about what again? Introduction. We talk also about introduction. So today we're going to focus on literature review. And by the end of today's topic, I'm expecting you to be able to explain what exactly literature review is all about, and you should be able to analyze the purpose and core functions of literature review, and also be able to find how to find quality research that you would include in your literature review. Lastly, we'll talk about how to structure your literature review chapter. You can as well follow this lecture in your virtual learning environment. Okay, already uploaded the notes in your VLE. You should be able to join and follow the slides while I'm teaching. Without further delay, let's dive in. What is literature review? You all hear about the word literature review in your research. So what is literature review? Literature review is very common in academic research, and it is one of the key pillars of your research. It is the driving force, it is the backbone of your research. By literature review, it can be referred to as two related things that are part of a broader process, which the first is review of the literature, i.e. by sourcing and reading through extant or existing research that are related to your topic, while the second part of literature review is the actual chapter that you write in your dissertation or thesis or projects. Okay. Okay. So how do you do literature review? Literature review is basically you reading existing studies. From there, you get an informed opinion on how you can come up with your frameworks or variables. So how do you review this literature? So the first step of any literature review is to kind of hunt down and read through existing research which are relevant to your research topic. So in order to do this, you will be using a combination of tools. You will be using databases to find articles, journal articles. You'll be using textbooks, you'll be using ebooks, you'll be using unpublished thesis and dissertation, and any credible sources of information that can relate to your topic. The keyword is credible, high impact, and not just any unsubstantiated information that you find. Okay. Somebody raised her hand, Akire Mititilayo. I think I'll start answering questions when we are done. Okay, I'll start answering questions when we are done. But let me see, is there any problem that you guys are raising hand or you cannot hear me? Let me answer two of them. Okay. Who is this? Who is their hand? Akiremi. Okay, Akiremi, Tilayo, Christiana, please go ahead. What is the issue? Why are you raising your hand at this stage? I'm asking you to unmute. Yes.
I think it's on FMS 825.
What is it?
I saw, are you taking us FMS 825? I'm a master's program, I'm doing master's program.
Yes, ma. Is this your first class?
Yes, it's my first class, and I did not see the literature review on the topic that you are taking now.
I don't understand you.
I said this is my own is m.sc program, master's program.
Okay.
And I've not seen this topic. A literary review on the topic on the inside the module. That is why I'm asking. It's not tally at all.
Okay, I think this is your first class. That's why you are asking me this question. We
Yes.
We have already passed this stage, ma.
Okay, what module are you, sir?
We are doing the practical thing that you will use it to do your research. We are not following the module.
Right.
This one
is
practical thing that will assist you in doing your research. If you are following your module, you can go ahead and read your module. That one is for you, for your knowledge. But this one, it is exactly what you'll be doing with your supervisor for your project. That's what I'm teaching you.
All right.
I leave it to you to read your modules. And
all right.
During exam, I will give you what is it called? I will give you the area that you need to focus from your module. But this one is to assist you guys your research.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm with you, sir.
Okay. All right, so I want to continue. The first step of any literature, okay, I'm done with this. Then you will then summarize the catalog. This for easy reference when you write up your literature review chapter. So the actual literature review chapter is the second step in literature review, to write the actual literature review chapter. This is usually the second chapter. Of course, in most dissertation, literature review is the second chapter. The literature review chapter is just an overview of the key literature that is relevant to your research topic. It should provide a smooth flowing discussion of what research has already been done, what is known, what is not known, and what is contested in relation to your research topic. So you can think of it an integrated review of state of knowledge around your research, where people argue. So what are the purposes for doing literature review? There are 4 purposes or reasons of doing literature review. First of all, to demonstrate your knowledge on the topic. Secondly, to reveal the research gap that you are going to fill. We talked about a little bit about research gap last week. Research gap is any gap in the field which you are trying to bridge. That is research gap. And the third reason is to lay a foundation for theoretical framework. If you are proposing a theoretical framework for your research, this is quite a good place to start from. That is how you find out your variables for your theoretical framework. And for purpose number 4 is to inform your methodology. From there, you can find the methodology that you are going to use in order to do your data analysis. So we're going to take this one by one. So starting with purpose 1, demonstrating of knowledge. First, this function of literature review is simply to show the reader, in the case of your examiner or supervisor, the marker, that you know exactly what you're talking about. In other words, a good literature review chapter should demonstrate that you have read existing research from beginning to end. If you can even go as far back as early as when this topic was researched, you can be able to do so, to download articles from that, so you can see how the topic has evolved who has said what? Why is there any disagreement? Is there any scholar that was arguing with another scholar? Things like that. You need to know all the nooks and cranny of that topic by reviewing the extant literature. It needs to be just more than a summary of who said what. It is an integrated or integration of an existing research that shows how everything fits together and what is missing. And that leads us to the purpose number 2, which says that you should reveal the research gap that you are trying to fill. If there is no gap that you are trying to fill, you are just reinventing the wheel. Reinventing the wheel is doing something that has already been done, so there is no point. But if you read literature, you find out that, oh, most researchers have focused on this, but they haven't focused on that. So this is the gap that you are trying to bridge. For example, you can do a research on, say, for example, celebrity endorsement on purchase intention of youth in Nigeria. But then you realize that most research in Nigeria focus on youth. Then you want to fill a gap because there are certain youth age, according to the United Nations, it's starting from age 18 to 35 years. So what about those from 35 years to 70 years? Who is going to research about them? You might want to pick up that and say, oh, I want to fill this gap. So by doing that, you are showing that your research topic is original and it will contribute to the body of knowledge. And contribution is one important aspect in every research. Your markers or your examiners will want to know, what are you contributing? What is the novelty there? What is new? What are you trying to bring? So in other words, the literature review helps to justify why you are choosing that particular topic, which leads us to number 3 purpose of doing literature review, which is to introduce or lay the foundation for your theoretical framework. A theoretical framework is a framework that is drawn to show the relationship between certain variables, independent and dependent variable. In every research, empirical research, mostly in social science, you see that a research consists of a theoretical framework, and those theoretical framework come from theories. Okay. Not every research topic, of course, will necessarily have a theoretical framework, but if your topic requires one, it needs to be rooted from the literature. So for example, if you want to do a research that identifies drivers of a certain outcome, for example, the factors which contribute to burnout in office workers, we are trying to see what are the factors that contribute to burnout. You see that in this case, you would likely want to develop a framework which would detail the potential reasons why people burn out in office. For example, stress, excessive stress, long working hours, so many things that will lead. So what are those factors? You just don't sit and think, oh, I think these are the reasons why people get burned out in their workplace. No, you don't just think. You just don't the thing just don't come from your gut. You need to do literature review. From the literature you review, you will see what previous scholars have said, and that is what you should focus on. Those will help you to identify why burnout exists in working place. So in this case, the literature review chapter will uncover each of the potential factors based on previous studies about burnout, which will be then modeled into a framework. That leads us to number 4, which is to inform the methodology that you are going to take. The methodology, the choice of methodology is informed, will be heavily influenced by what you do in your literature review, and heavily influenced by your objectives. Recalls aims, recall objectives, recall research questions, which we discussed intensively last week. So given that you'll be reviewing studies covering a topic closer to yours, it makes sense that you could learn a lot from their methodologies, what they have used and become successful. So when you are reviewing the literature, you will need to pay a close attention to their research design. In other words, the methodology and methods that they use to to come up with their own methodology. So you can adopt or borrow or even adapt from previous study. This is especially acceptable in quantitative analysis or quantitative studies. Quantitative study is mostly the study that is being conducted by students of National Open University. I don't see much of you doing qualitative studies. There is difference between qualitative and quantitative, and this I'm very sure you should also learn in this research method class. Qualitative research is any research that is being conducted and data is collected using interview and personal observation, while quantitative study uses figures, quanti, it uses survey and questionnaire to analyze data. Okay, those are the difference. So next, we're going to discuss about one interesting thing. How do you find articles for literature review? One might wonder, so now that you say we need to find existing studies, how do I find all these existing studies? And you say that it should all come from high impact journals and high impact articles. How do I know which one is high impact article? This is a very broad topic, but I will try as much as possible to do justice to it in the few minutes we have. So if you are to do literature review, your first best bet is to go to a page called or a website called Google Scholar. On Google Scholar, you will be able to see what? You will be able to see how you can download or see recent articles that are related to your topic. Let me see if I can show you how Google Scholar works. Scholar.google. Okay, I'm giving you one of the links of my Google Scholar. Let me just click on it. So you can see how Google Scholar works. So I hope you can see my screen now. I hope you can see my screen now. This is Google Scholar. This is my page. This is my profile, my Google Scholar profile. And when you look here, you see my name, you see my research interest. And then here you will see my articles that I have published, all articles that I have published. If you look down here, you will see that I have about 16 articles that I have published from which year? From 2016. And these are the total number of citations that I have. And this is my H index and H10. And this is the highest number of citations I have received per articles for an article that has been published from 2017. So say, for example, you want to, this is just my own profile and you can download my articles and read. All these are published in high impact journals. You can use them for any future research and you can have an inspiration of topics that you want to work on. In case you want to work with me as a supervisor, you know now what are my interests. So for example, if you want to search for articles that are related to, say, celebrity endorsement, I always give example with celebrity endorsement because that is a topic that really interests me. So you come to this page. This is the Google Scholar page. It is just like searching on Google, but then it is owned by Google, but it is a sub page or subdomain that returns articles based on scholarly output. So let's search for, say, celebrity endorsement in Nigeria. You just click on search, just like you would in Google. And if you want to do literature review, you can actually, the Google has made this very simple, whereby you can even choose the years from which you want to all drawings from which you want to analyze or you want to download articles from. So see topics have been popping up, all from Nigeria. So let's say you want to choose articles from 2017 only. So if you look at this article is from 2015, let's click on since 2017. So these articles will be only articles from 2017. And if you want to download the PDF, you can see it here. PDF is from ResearchGate, PDF from touchcamp.net, and so on and so forth. That is one way that you can get scholarly articles. So these are all topics. Look at one of my own research topic that just came out. Celebrity brand endorsement, a study on its impact on Generation Y's in Nigeria. DT Abdurrahman and my co-authors. So you can see, you can download the articles here. I hope now you have seen how you can easily search for article on Google Scholar. Okay, so back to our slides. How to find, so I think I have explained this one. So Google Scholar doesn't cover every possible resource, but it's a useful starting point or useful way to get started on your literature review journey, as it will very quickly give you a good indication of what is the most popular piece of research in your field. The downside of Google Scholar is that it is just a search engine. That is, it just lists the article, but oftentimes it doesn't host the articles, meaning that some articles you will not find them. It will just index them, but you need to go to where those articles were published in order to get them. And if the articles are paid articles, you need to pay to get them. However, the good thing is that your university might have subscribed to these databases. For example, Emerald, your university has subscribed to their database. You will be able to just go in and use your username from your school and then get it. So it is important that you use recent resources. If you are doing research, your literature review should not use articles of 1990s, because things change quickly in the world of research, and you don't want to cut up with information that has already been refuted. So that is not to say that the classic articles are not really relevant, but you need to make sure that they are up to date. It is no use to cite any piece of research that is very popular but was substantially found to be flawed. The result has been refuted by other scholars. So the good thing is that Google Scholar, you can filter results for a specific range. So make use of this to ensure that you keep your reading up to date. So again, like I said, your university might have already subscribed to the databases. So so another aspect or another way you can download articles or you can see articles is to go to ResearchGate. ResearchGate is also very popular avenue where you can download articles. It's very, very popular and very common. So remember, ResearchGate is just like the social media of academics. Social media of academics, just like the Facebook of academics. You go and see the authors there, they upload their works, you'll see their recent work, you'll see the projects they are working on, and you see their cycles and connections. So remember to use the correct keyword. It's very important. So pay close attention to the keywords used in journal articles you read, and use those keywords to search for more articles. If you can't find a spoon in the kitchen, probably you didn't look at the right drawer. That is just it. So other sources for literature review, you can check EBSCO host, you can check academia.edu, This is another website that is very similar to ResearchGate. You can check ProQuest, you can check Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Routledge, and so on and so forth. There are so many. You can check Springer, you can check JSTOR. There are so many sources for your literature review. And you can also use past dissertations. You can go to your library and use hard copies. That is what we have been using from the olden days. Next is, how do you structure your literature review? Unfortunately, there is no one size fits all. Okay, but like every other chapter in your thesis or dissertation, you are at liberty to choose the best way, and your literature review needs a clear and a logical structure. At a minimum, it should have three essential components. First of all, an introduction, a conclusion, and a body. Because there is no generic universal right way to structure the literature review, you should structure your literature review will depend largely on your topic area and your research aims and objective. So again, you could potentially structure this literature review chapter according to either groups, your variables, or theme, or even concepts. You need to craft your literature review so that it conveys the most important information effectively, and it needs to tell a logical story in a way that is going to be digested by even a layman. It is no use starting up with jargons and technical terms and then explaining them later. It is always better to assume that the reader is not an expert, and hold their hands. You need to hold their hands through the journey and help them understand clearly how it is. So first of all, these three parts you need to let's explain this three part. The introduction section of your literature review should just focus, just like last week introduction we discussed. It should introduce the section of your literature review, the purpose and the layout or the organization of that chapter. It also means that it should give the reader a taste of what is going to come and how you're going to lay that out. Essentially, you should be able to provide the reader with a high level of roadmap of your chapter to give them taste of the journey and what lies ahead. You should also be able to discuss the conceptualization, the antecedents, the hypothesis, and so on and so forth. Also, the introduction should outline the topic, by also including any tricky and terminological jargons. Provide an explanation of the scope of your literature review, what you will and what you won't be covering in that literature review. So this help to ring fence your review and achieve a clear focus. Well, the clearer and narrower your focus, the deeper you can dive in the topic, which is typically where the magic lies. This section should also present these ideas so that it can it's clear to examiners that are aware of how your research connects with existing knowledge. You should also, depending on your nature of your project, present your stance or a point of view at the introduction stage. So after grappling with literature, you will have an opinion about what are the trends and concerns that the field is currently lacking. Number two is to, first of all, there is ways that these things can be done. One option is to use chronological method. Chronological method is just to use or to analyze or to review articles based on chronological order or according to dates, asynchronously, or something serially. Organizing the literature chronologically is one of the simplest way to structure your literature reviews. So you start with what was published first. For example, a topic that is new on, say, for example, mobile banking, you realize that mobile banking came into existence somewhere in the early 2000s. So maybe the first article that talks about mobile banking could be in the early 2000s. So you have to go and source for that article, talk about it, argue about it, and then pretty straightforward until you reach 2021 that we are currently in. So the benefit of this option is to make it easy to discuss the development and how the topic has evolved. It also allows you to highlight how specific articles or piece of works might have changed the course of the field. In other words, which research has the most impact. Therefore, this approach is very useful when your research is aimed at understanding how a topic has unfolded over time and is often used by scholars in the same field. That said, this approach can be utilized by anyone that wants to explore changes over time. Number two option is to either no, this should come later. Still on chronological order. Hold on, please. Okay. So for example, if a student wants to talk about politics, okay, I've already given example. So you see what is the earliest literature review related to this topic? How is the field changing over time? What are the most recent discoveries? So in other words, chronology plays a part whichever way you decide to structure the literature review, because you will always to a certain extent be analyzing how the literature has evolved. However, the chronological approach, the emphasis is very firmly on how discussion has evolved as opposed to how literature links together. How the literature links together. So which is what we are going to discuss next, which is option 2, thematic or thematic literature review. This is not using chronology, but rather it is using theme. It is group or category. The thematic approach of structuring a literature review means organizing your literature by theme or category, for example, by independent or dependent variables. Okay, I saw some charts. Let me check what is the issue. Marianne is saying, can she get this one? I don't think I should answer this question because that is exactly what I started talking about when I joined, when everyone joined the class. Okay. As you have been collecting and synthesizing literature, you will likely have started seeing some themes or patterns that have been emerging. So you can then use these themes or pattern as structure for your body discussion. So the thematic approach is the common approach that many people use to do their literature review. For example, if you are researching on factors that contributed towards people trusting an organization, you might want to use the categories or themes such as consumers' perception, competence, benevolence, and integrity. So structuring your literature review thematically would mean structuring your literature review body section to discuss each of these themes, one section at a time. Here are what you need to ask yourself if you are using thematic approach. Are there any patterns that have come to light in the literature? What are the central themes and categories used by the researchers? Do I have enough evidence of these themes? So these are what you should be asking yourself. The last option is to use methodological method, which is an option whereby you need to restructure your literature review by researching, by using the research methodology that they use. In other words, it's either qualitative, quantitative, or both. Both is called mixed method or triangulation. So for example, a sociologist might want to center their research around critiquing specific fieldwork practice. So the literature review will then be a summary of fieldwork methodologies used by different studies. What are the questions that you need to ask yourself here? What methodologies has been used in this? Which methodology is the most popular, and what are the strengths and weaknesses of various methodologies? How can the existing methodologies inform our own methodology? The next, second one is the body. The body, after the introduction of your literature review, you need to focus on the body. So the body of your literature review is center of your work, which is where you will present, analyze, and evaluate the existing research. In other words, this is where you're going to earn or lose the most mark. Like I said, it is the body of the work, it is the driving force. So you should review the literature and identify, analyze, and synthesize it. So when thinking about structure of your literature review, you need to think about what structural approach will provide the best review for your specific type of research. There are, broadly speaking, 3 options for organizing your literature review. So the third part is the conclusions section. So once you have completed the body section of your literature review using one of the structural approach, you will then wrap up your literature review as you would. The conclusion is where you will present key findings of your literature review, and you should emphasize that research is especially important to your research question and highlight the gaps. You also need to hypothesize here. Hypothesization or hypothesis is an assumption based on what you have gathered or what you have read from several literature. You can now begin to assume that, okay, for my hypothesis 1, I believe that burnout, there is a significant relationship between burnout and stress, for example. So you would also be able to draw your theoretical framework here. So last but not least, the literature review. Okay, hold on. The class activity 1. This is your discussion forum 1. It is open currently on your portal. I have seen that most of you, especially those in FMS 304, are not answering the discussion forum. Okay, I want you to differentiate between conceptual framework and theoretical framework. You also need to provide example. So the key takeaway from today's topic is that we have discussed on how to structure your literature review. We've also talked about the chronology, the theme, the methodology, and how you fit in your conclusion section. One thing that I would want to say, which might be funny, but it makes sense, is that literature review is what you mostly do, both male and female. Nowadays, people are very good at gossiping. So literature review is basically very similar to gossiping, whereby this person will say that, oh, I've heard from this one that that certain person is a womanizer, he has 5 girlfriends, and then according to another person, then you will say, that person is already married. Then this one will argue that no, even though he's married, he still follow women. Then this one will say, no, we know that he's a religious person. That is basically how literature review is. You go front, you go back, until you reach the end. So I came up with a very simple analogy. I hope you find it very useful. So this is the gossip analogy of literature review. So I was saying, according to Chinedu 2021, Chinedu says that Tijjani has 4 girlfriends. This was supported by Olani, Yahya, and Tosin. In placing more emphasis, Unwosu claimed that Tijjani is actually married, but is still very close to 3 other women. This claim is also supported by similar research done by Mariam, Dankwambo, Kaska, Cherokee, Salha, and Dumbaru and Jummala. Furthermore, in an observation-based study by Ronke, the findings have shown that Tijjani was seen with another woman in Barcelona Hotel in Abuja, and that these studies have found similar results where Tijjani is not a loyal man, as eloquently quoted by Emeka 2010, which says that once a player, always a player. However, these claims were contended by Gizo and Koki, who indicated that Tijjani is actually a loyal man to his wife, Samira. Although scarce, this assertion by Gizo and Koki can be reinforced by similar allegation by Inena Bilkisu Abimbola 2021. So in recent study by Hannatu, Jessica, and Kemi, they have reasserted that Tijjani is indeed a loyal man to his wife, that he's only on business, he only deals with women on business terms and on business terms. So as simple as that, this is a literature review on gossiping about Tijjani, who has 4 girlfriends. So you can see that the gossip started from 2021, but we have to go all the way back to before Tijjani got married in 2017 to find out that Tijjani is indeed loyal to his wife and that he only deals with other women in for business purposes. So these are all fictional, and this is not a true life story. And that is how you come up with your literature review section. There is much to it, but with the limited time that we have, this is what I can take. So before I call it a day, I would like to take the last 15, to use the last 15 minutes to answer your questions. And I can see Jumbo already raising his or her hand. Please unmute and show your face and ask your question. Cairo Annabelle also unmute, ask your question, show your face. This one, I don't know what is the name. NCAPMAT, I cannot unmute you. Umar Kane Aliyu, also get ready for your question. I'm unmuting you, open your video. Okay, go ahead, Jumbo.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
My question is about the last assignment you gave us. It talked about the last part, which is the structural outline. You know, in FMS 304, and the structural outline here, from the example you gave us 3.
I can't hear you.
Summary of the.
I can't hear you. Can you switch off your video? Maybe your network is not good. Switch off your video.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that the summary you gave from the example.
These are masks. Does not allow us to
Can you please write your question? We can't hear you. Just write your question. Write down your
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Okay, Umar, just go ahead, please. Umar.
Okay, sir. My question is about this literature review. Though I'm sorry, my background, there is some noise here.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, is there any limit as to the number of literatures that we can review and mention in our own research? Because I remember last time, the last research I conducted, my supervisor was complaining that the whole literature review is too small, that I needed to consult extensively as much as possible literatures relevant to the topic. So I don't know whether
your supervisor is very right. For master's level that you are, I would suggest that you consult nothing less than 30 to 50 articles that are related to your topics. 30 to 50. And all of them should be current. You can take a certain age or range, say from maybe 1998 till date. You want to review literatures and see how the topic has evolved. If you want to choose chronological order or you want to use thematic approach, it all depends on you. But the more literature you review, the more knowledge you have about your topic.
Yeah, so how about the location? Like if I'm conducting a research on Nigeria,
Yes.
must I consult literatures relevant to Nigerian location or global?
First of all, that's why I said the introduction part is very important. In that introduction part, before you start narrowing down, you will give a global perspective. Then you narrow down to Nigeria. Then you even narrow down to Africa, sorry. Then you narrow down to Nigeria. You need to mention what other scholars have found in the other part of the world. Then narrow to Nigeria, to Africa, to Nigeria, and so on and so forth.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. Who else? Izu Chukwu Ekpe. Izu Chukwu Ekpe. If you're not ready, I'm going to another person. Adedeji Adetule.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the lecture, sir.
All right.
So I have two questions. So my first question is this: if the research is like a new kind of research and there's not been much, like let's say the person just finds out a discovery, he has a great new discovery and there is not much literature in the past, how can the person come up with something?
Very good question. This is very good question. You mentioned it in the literature review. You mentioned that although this is a new or this is an emerging topic that have no prior literature, so definitely your findings would not be as strong as possible, meaning that it is still an evolving topic. So even if you found anything, you have mentioned that no prior study has been conducted on such a phenomena. So your research is still acceptable. Your literature review, you have, for example, a wider context. Maybe it's the narrowed topic that you do not. For example, let me give you an example. I just give example of mobile banking. In early 2000, maybe there was no mobile banking because we don't have smartphones then. So assuming you are conducting a research as at that moment, you know that there is internet banking in 2000, but there is no mobile banking. So you start reviewing literature about internet banking and then use it to support that aspect of mobile banking. But you have to explicitly state that not much has been done on mobile banking, and you are trying to bridge that gap by starting that new topic. And whatever you have started will be the base. And people, you will see that you realize that you even get more citations because it is an emerging or a new topic that will get people's attention in that area.
Okay, thank you, sir. So my second question, sir, I would like to know, this course we are taking, will you also teach us the different aspects of analysis? Because, for example, I have an agricultural background, so the analysis I know is this thing, analysis of variance and things like that.
ANOVA.
Yes, sir. Completely randomized design, and so it's kind of different from management kind of analysis. So I don't know if we'll be taught different analysis methods in management.
Honestly, for the duration of what we have, 1 hour class, next week, you see, we are going to talk about methodology, and the upper week we talk about analysis. But I don't think we'll have that time to do practical analysis. I will only introduce you to the several analytical tools that are available. For example, SPSS, eView, Smart PLS, structural equational modeling, and what have you. But we will not dive into practical, but you will be introduced to the analytical tools.
Okay,
For
sir.
that aspect of the specific analysis, you would have to either conduct or contact your supervisor, or if you are still interested, you can contact me personally for that one.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Mbazo Success. The guy or the person called NCA PMAT, you can kindly put your hands down, because we don't know who you are and we cannot answer anyone who is not clearly identified. Mbazo Success, please go ahead. Cairo Annabelle, please go ahead. I've also asked you to unmute. Okay, let me go to the chat box. It seems that there are questions there. For example, Jumbo said, for example, you gave for the structural outline, how many chapters are we supposed to summarize in the introduction when in reality we have not started writing chapters? In a nutshell, should we just introduce only 3 chapters as it was given? I seriously don't understand this question, but let me read it again. From the example you gave from the structural outline, how many chapters are we supposed to summarize in introduction when in reality we have not yet started writing the chapters? In a nutshell, should we just introduce only 3 chapters? I really don't get this question. I'm sorry. If you can elaborate. Good afternoon. Mbazo Success said, good afternoon. My course material is MBA 825, Research Design and Methodology for Decision. There is nothing like literature review. I'm confused. I am not teaching MBA 825. I'm teaching FMS 825. So I don't know how you find yourself in this class. And the topic we are teaching here is research methodology, not research design and methodology for business decision. Thank you. Okay. Who else? Marian, please, can we get this material? Okay, I said I'm not answering this one. Good afternoon, sir. My question has been answered already, sir. Cairo Annabelle. Okay, so if there is no any further question, can we call it a day? If there is no further question, we were told to write introduction, but to explain the ingredients of introduction. We were not told to write Adedeji Adetule. I also don't get your own question too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir.
I want to
That's
know
the
why
response.
you people have not answered. I don't know why you people have not answered this question. Discuss, let me share my screen. Discuss the extensively seven ingredients for a successful introductory chapter. Provide example where necessary. These people from FMS 304, I don't know why you are not answering your discussion forum. Can I know why? FMS 304, you are not answering the discussion forum. Here it is, no response whatsoever from you guys. Discuss extensively 7 ingredients for successful, okay. However, I have seen that people from FMS 825 have answered their discussion forum in details. Here are the answers. Gamawa Aisha to Ibrahim, Mulikad Bimpe Ayode, Gamawa, Godwin Uchenna. They have all answered, but those of you in FMS 304 are not answering. You are losing marks. You are losing marks. So please do the needful. Do the needful and answer your discussion forum. And I have done discussion forum. Okay, who is raising their hand again? Let me see. Okay, Esther Namfa. Esther Namfa.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
We can't see you. Afternoon.
I'm very sorry. I've not been able to access my GST portal.
We can't
so-
see you. We can't see you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
So I've not been able to access my GST portal. That is
Which
why
one
I've not
is-
been.
Which one is GST portal?
I thought that is where you could do the assessment you give.
Me, I don't know anything called GST portal. I only know VLE, Virtual Learning Environment, and e-learning portal.
Yes,
That
that
is
is where
what-
the.
So that one, you need to contact the church to assist you. They are called DCLMS, Directorate of Learning Content Management System. And I'm very sure friends here can help you. Please write for her or tell her how she can access the e-learning portal. I think you use your matric number as username and matric number as password. I'm not sure how
Yes,
it works.
I've been doing that. I
Ask your-
don't have that issues. It's just that this semester, ever since I started, I've not have issue logging in.
Okay,
So
email your DCLMS. They will help you, or your center. There is MIS department there. They can help your login details. You can also contact them via the Telegram. You can email them to help you.
Okay.
Rachel, I'm answering one last question. Rachel.
Okay. Okay, my question is, I'm doing MBA in research methodology. So I'm asking if I'm supposed to be here so that I'll be able to
MBA in research
understand.
methodology.
Yes,
How did you get the link for this class?
it was sent to my phone.
By who?
It was sent to my email.
By
I'm not on my email now. I can't really get the name of it. It was also on the platform.
when? When was that? When was the email?
It was last month because I also participated last month and I'm also joining here as well.
Okay, on your registration slip, do you have anything called FMS 304 or FMS 825?
No, what is here is BOS 825 research methodology.
So I think you have to consult the faculty on that. For me, what I'm teaching here is FMS 825 and FMS 304, not BOS 825.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I don't see Mama. Mama should ask her question. Mama?
Are you hearing me?
Yes. But
Okay,
we
so
can't see you.
please.
We can't see you.
Okay, there's no light in my office. Maybe I should shift to the other side. Please,
Yeah,
I
please
missed
do
the
so.
three
Please do so.
lectures. Sorry, please, I missed the three lectures. Is there
We still
any?
can't see you.
Okay, I missed. But are you hearing me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I just missed the three previous lectures of facilitation. I don't know how will it be possible for a revisit.
Ma,
Probably.
we need to see you. We need to see you. We need to know who we are talking to.
Okay, I'm seeing you.
Yeah, you can see me, but no one can see you in the class.
Wow. I'm seeing you here. But
anyways, this question has repeatedly been answered. Separately been answered. You need to go and log into your virtual learning environment. There is link for the recorded session for the class, so you can see what we have done in the past.
Okay, that is the previous ones.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you next week. See you next week. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Please, can I have your phone number, please? Is it possible?